Zan, what's the name of this show?
The name of the show is Wander to the Edge.
And I'm Adam Asher from The Edge of Adventure.
And I'm Zan from Where Gals Wander.
And that's right. We call this show Wander to the Edge, where we like to talk to friends and we like to talk to them about travel. And we've got a great guest today. But before we get to introducing her, we need to check on Zan because that's what we do every Saturday at this time. We see how her arm is doing. I think you're getting pretty close. When does the cast come off?
Hopefully on just a few days.
Okay, so coming up this week probably.
Yeah, hopefully.
You know, it's Saturday. It's of course it's 2:00 here on the East Coast, but it's still morning. Still 11 o'clock, right after 11 there in California. I think I should get you a cup of coffee.
See, you finally got me that coffee. I tell you all the time, I'm not doing this until I get a cup of coffee. So I finally got it.
Well, it's great. It's my pleasure to get coffee on a Saturday, and you can drink coffee later on Saturday than you can during the work week. But everybody's just great to have you with us. It's, our chance on Saturday to talk travel. And I think probably to segue now to getting into introducing our wonderful guest. And you are truly going to enjoy this conversation today. So stick around for that. I think I'll just ask Zan how she feels about wandering.
Well, I'm a big fan of wandering, and I'm a big fan of our guest today, Wandering Jessica. And you aren't going to need coffee when she's on the show. She just brings an energy. She's going to get you inspired. She's going to get you up and going. She's got some great stories to tell and talk a little bit about balancing being a mom, living a life of adventure, all that balancing that has to happen, and really, how to just stick with it no matter what it is. And speaking of sticking with it, stick around because we'll be right back here on Wander to the Edge. Hey, Jessica.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be on.
Great to have you on the show. And of course, we noticed that you gave us a shout out and we appreciated that. It meant a lot. Absolutely. And it's just going to be great to get to know you and share that with our friends today. You have a very motivational, inspiring presence on social media. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm so excited people are feeling motivated by what I have to say.
Yeah. One thing that I love about your account is just you're all about building the community, right? Like you're in there not just to promote yourself, but you're connecting with others. You're building a network, kind of that support. You're trying to encourage others. So, before we get started, I think maybe let's just get to know you a little bit more and, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started.
Well, okay. So, first I'm a mom. So I was raised around a group of people that were very narrow-minded, and it was kind of very one-tracked mind. Like your purpose in life was very directed in one direction. And I grew up for a long time not knowing about a lot of the world and a lot of opportunities out there. So when I became a mom, my whole life mission changed. I wanted to show them that there is so much more to the world to see and experience and people to connect with than what I had personally been raised around. So that was what really inspired me to get going. I wanted to show them that there's a big world out there and we can be involved in it and we can contribute to it and we can have fun. And that's the point of life. Life is meant to be good for us. And so they were the first people I wanted to motivate and inspire, was the two little people I had been blessed with.
And you like to take them on some of these travels as well. What's their reaction? I mean, as as kids watching mom enjoy this, but also getting to be a part of it sometimes?
Oh, they're a lot of fun. They're kids. They have a ton of energy. So getting them out, it's the biggest playground. And I always try to make it a playground for us. It's not just getting to a destination. We're out there to play and explore, and they have really positive mindsets about it, especially when they get tired, when we're climbing a mountain. I think they did their first, what was it? 3,000 vertical feet just this last summer. So it was a big climb for little ones, and they had so much fun, and just watching them coach themselves through it and being there to be their coach and be their motivator. It was awesome. They're great kids. I'm super lucky.
So I'm going to actually ask a follow-up question. Does that mean they've never had a meltdown?
No, we've had plenty of meltdowns. They actually, on one trail, they came up with this song, like, that song, this is the song that never ends. They just kept singing, this is the hike that never ends. This is the hike that never ends. And so we have had meltdowns, and it's like I said, I'm coaching them out there. And we started small, and we built on their energy. As they got bigger, we built on how far they could go and what they could accomplish. But I'm always pushing them to push themselves, push their own boundaries. And so I'm acting as their mom and their support. And I'm going to kiss all the boo-boos and be there for the owies, but I'm also here to coach them. And I think being out in nature is an excellent way to grow as people, because we are challenged out there in a lot of ways, even though we're having fun. So.
And how old are your kids?
My son will be 12 in September, and my daughter is 10.
Okay. And how long have you been out hiking the wilderness?
Well, I've been hiking since I was a little kid. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere, Washington. And so I've been out hiking forever. I got them on trail really when my daughter was 4. We'd do like little park walks when they were really little, but at about 4, I really started training them to hike and start taking on bigger and bigger adventures.
So some of your favorite locations, places that you've had the opportunity to go hiking or go visiting, get out there and enjoy the great outdoors, top of the list, what would be a couple that come to mind?
Top of the list. Well, for me, one of my greatest adventures was definitely the Grand Canyon. I have had the opportunity to raft it twice, 21 days each. And those were really my greatest adventures. As far as local hikes for my area, I'd have to say probably Mount Hood. What was that trail? It's a Bald Mountain Trail, and it has the most stunning view of Mount Hood I have ever seen. It's just, you're coming through the tree line, and then the trees part, and it's just like you could almost reach out and touch Mount Hood. It's fantastic. So, and it's super popular for a reason, but if you can get there super early in the morning, I highly recommend it, because then you get some time on trail to yourself and really get those amazing views.
Now, is this your pup that we're looking at here in this?
Yeah.
Those are actually my mom's huskies. I take them out a lot, and they go run around with me. So, we have fun together, but they're my mom's. She can take care of them. I got the kids.
Now, didn't you hike Mount St. Helens, or I saw something on your YouTube channel talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, last year, that was really, so many of my greatest adventures have come to me just by coincidence. Like, it just falls in my lap. So I had a client come in, and he had this new girlfriend, and she had scored permits to climb Mount St. Helens, and she wanted him to do it with her, but he was like, I'm not a hiker, I don't want to go. And I was like, well, hey, I'll go with her. Like, let her know if she's a friend. And next thing I know, it was the girl like at the coffee shop, like 2 blocks from my shop, called me, and she was, Jessica, you were just talking to my boyfriend. And I was like, yeah, Allie, it's you. And it worked out so beautifully, because she needed someone to fill the permit, and I wanted to climb Mount St. Helens. So it was a really fun experience. Standing on the rim of an active volcano is like you're in another world. You're like,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, looking at these pictures here of waterfalls and whatnot, I think you've done the whitewater rafting thing a few times, right?
Yeah, I love whitewater. I'm no
Fir-
expert at it.
First trip though, tell us the story of the first trip you did whitewater.
All right. So the first trip I did whitewater rafting. So that's a great story because I had actually I went to a wedding and met up with my cousin. And I had just gone through this really hard time, went through a really bad breakup. And I was like, I just need a new adventure. I need something to happen. And he was like, oh, well, I just scored this permit to run 21 days through the Grand Canyon. If you need an adventure, like, let's go. If you'll show up, I'll save you a spot. And I just, with zero experience, I'd never stepped foot on a boat before. I didn't know anything about PFDs or helmets or what to pack. I just said yes to it and jumped in there completely inexperienced. And it was one of those experiences that really tests you as a person. You're completely overwhelmed immediately, like, oh boy, what have I gotten myself into? But it's like the highs outweigh the lows so much, and you come back from it just a changed person. Like, that sense of adventure and accomplishment, it really sinks in because you were able to make it through something like 99% of people will never get to experience. I think I read a stat once, out of the 6 million people who visit the Grand Canyon every year, only 0.5% get to see it in the way I did on that very first rafting trip.
Wow.
So it was really such a huge gift that ignited my love for whitewater rafting.
One thing that I notice, and you mentioned it about saying yes to every opportunity, and that's kind of a theme that we've been having with folks here on the show, is just any opportunity that comes forward, you reach out and you embrace. No fear, or maybe there's some fear, but you don't show it. And trying to experience whatever you can at every opportunity. And is that something that you're consciously teaching your kids as you're taking them out and you're going on these adventures? Or is this something that maybe they're just sort of soaking up, looking at you as a role model?
A little bit of both, because I absolutely am consciously stepping into situations that I'm scared to do a lot of the times. But I never want fear to hold me back from experiencing life. You have to face down the unknown sometimes to reap the rewards. If we know exactly how everything's going to play out, then is it worth the reward? So I think a little both. I think they're observing me do that naturally, and it's become a part of my lifestyle. And for a long time, I was consciously like, okay, I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to say yes to that. And now it's just become a part of who I am as a person as I practice that. And I hope it inspires them to just pursue whatever dreams they have, because I don't want them to be held back in any way.
You're up in this beautiful part of the country with lots of great areas and parts of the country to go see. Yellowstone, you've been there, right?
Have. Yep. That was my first backpacking trip, actually. It was 10 days through Yellowstone. That was when I was 17, I think. That was great. We took 6 llamas. My aunt had llamas. And we spent 10 days hiking. We'd hike for 20 miles and then have a rest day and then hike for 20 miles. And so we had like 80 miles, 100 miles, somewhere close to 100 miles through Yellowstone. And it was my aunt and uncle, cousins, and my mom. And it was such a beautiful experience. I mean, Yellowstone is gorgeous on all the touristy areas, but get into the backcountry and that the wildlife comes out. We camped across the river from a pack of wolves one night. We listened to them sing all night. We came through the tree line, and down in the field was the first ever grizzly bear I'd ever seen in real life. And he just like saw all the llamas in this line of people coming through, and he like stood up on his hind legs, looked at us, and then turned around and ran the opposite direction. And it's really in the backcountry and in these experiences that you get to experience these amazing parts of nature and wildlife. And of course, the national parks are wonderful because they make it available to everyone. They make driving routes and close in hiking routes, but getting into the backcountry, getting on these deep in trips, that's where the magic happens, really. And that's where you can really discover who you are as a person, because you a lot of times don't have a signal out there. And so you're just with yourself and whoever you're with, and it makes for some of the best times.
Now, is this that trip that we're looking at a picture of?
That's my second Grand Canyon trip.
Okay.
Yeah. And that one was fun too, because I had an acquaintance on Facebook who's had mutual whitewater rafting friends, and he and I saw each other, and I was like, hey, if you ever score a good permit, hit me up and I'll do the same for you. That's kind of how it works in the whitewater world. If you make a group of friends, and then everybody puts in for permits, and then hopefully one of us gets it and we can go. And so he just popped up on Facebook like, hey, I met a random guy who scored a permit to the Grand Canyon, which is Rob there. He's in front of us with his arms outstretched. He scored this permit with very little whitewater experience, and a month before the trip, didn't even have anybody to fill the permit. And then, so he met John, and then John gathered up a bunch of random people. So I knew one person as an acquaintance on that trip when I showed up, and everyone else was a complete stranger to me. And I just jumped on it and was like, okay, I guess I'm going to go spend 3 weeks with a group of hooligans and we'll see how it goes. And then we came off of that really great friends, just beautiful memories made.
So tell us, if for somebody who hasn't had the opportunity to raft that, what's it like?
Oh, it's a lot of work, especially on those long haul private expedition trips, because you hire an outfitter. They provide enough boats, they provide your food, medical supplies, satellite phone if you need an emergency rescue, and then they send you down river, and then they go down to the takeout spot 3 weeks later and pick you up, and you have to be there at a certain time. So it's a ton of work. You're rigging boats in the morning, which means you're packing up kitchen and coolers and all the bags, and you have to rig your boat properly, because if you flip it in the river, you don't want your gear floating down river. You want it to be secure. So in the morning you're rigging boats, and then you're running whitewater, and then you're like stopping for hikes, and so it's extremely draining physically, but it builds you up so much in your spirit and your soul. You come out of there, I came out of there like, okay, I don't know how to conform to polite society anymore. I just spent 3 weeks deep in the wilderness, and it's some of the funnest times. It's just so much fun and a ton of work, and it was worth it every single day.
So you're a mom of two.
Yes.
And my guess is you probably also work for a living. We won't get into that, but my guess is you probably work for a living too. So you've got that, you've got the kids, and then you manage to find time to do these sorts of things, right? How are you getting it all done?
It's a matter of priorities and a great support system. So it is a priority to me to live a life of adventure. Otherwise, what am I going to work for? Like if I'm just working to live and survive, it's not worth it. So my priority is to living a life of joy and fun and adventure. And I want to teach my children that. I don't want to teach them, I don't want to set the example of like, this is what you're going to do. You're just going to live and work, and that's it. I want to teach them that life means fun and life means freedom. So it's a priority. I also have a great support system through my parents and my sister and the kids' dad. We we are all great friends. We all love and adore each other and the kids. And so we've made it a priority to help each other pursue our dreams. And then I include the kids in a lot with me. So that makes it easier too.
Now, in this picture, where was Indiana Jones?
Don't you see me? I'm hugging the elephant. Oh, so that picture is from Phuket, Thailand.
It's awesome.
We went to the Phuket Elephant Sanctuary, and we chose that because we very much believe in animal rights. So we weren't going to be involved in the trekking experience of like riding them, where they're kind of work horses all day. This is a sanctuary where the elephants have actually been rescued from carnivals and from trekking companies, and they're put to a life of ease here. So you get to go feed them and learn about them. And then in this situation, we got to jump in the muddy pond and give them baths. So they give you this like big scrub brush, and the elephant rolls around, and you get to scrub him up and play and splash with them, and they splash you back, and they're just so happy. And the volunteers and the handlers there are wonderful. They show you all their scars and how they've healed. And the guy in the background there, he was just great. The elephants loved him. They were touching him and hugging him, and he was just leading them around and showing everybody. And Thailand's wonderful. If you guys ever get a chance to go there, you have to go to Thailand. It's beautiful.
When you look back at some of these like incredible experiences that you've had, Thailand, the Grand Canyon, what would be kind of another one that you would rank up there in terms of your top experience?
Top experience. It's so hard to rank them because you do.
That's always my answer.
That question. I know.
That's always my answer. Don't make me rank these things.
How do you?
I'm not asking you to rank necessarily, but if there's one that sticks out in your mind, where you look back and you think that was really cool, what would it be?
It always comes back to that Grand Canyon experience, because that was where I was already very adventurous, but that trip, that first one, stepping completely into the unknown, being totally overwhelmed, not having any clue what I was doing. And I'm stuck there for 21 days trying to figure it out and must muscle my way through it. That was the top one, because it helped me realize what I'm made of, what I'm capable of figuring out. And it just revealed to me like how tough I am. I can adapt to a lot of situations, and that one just showed me that. So it always comes back to that one. It gave me a new level of boldness and sense of adventure and confidence in what I'm doing in the outdoors.
Adam, I know you went through something similar, but you came out of yours with a beard.
I did. The
beard.
But no, I identify with what you're saying. Yeah. And I think personally for me, I tend to see the metaphor between travel and life's journey. So I see how you can learn things from your travels, and you can apply them to your life metaphorically. And also adventure, right? The ups and the downs and the things you didn't expect and the things that caught you off guard. And that's life. Life is an adventure. And, many people have said that, but it certainly is true. And it does require bravery. It really does. And so I pick up on those themes from your platform. So I've got a really, really tough question. Can I ask a tough question?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Ask away.
Which is better?
Okay.
Rain or horses?
Oh, that is a tough question.
And you don't actually have to answer that, but you do have to tell us about your love for horses and why you love the rain.
Okay. Love of horses. Well, I grew up in a very small town in a very tight-knit community, and I I was an awkward little girl. So I didn't have a lot of friends, plus being out in the backcountry. I would just go home from school and be very lonely, other than I was a little girl with a horse. So I would just get home from school every day and take off into the woods, just me and my horse. And he was my buddy. He was my buddy through a hard time. And looking back, I thought I was so deprived of this social life. But looking back on it now as an adult, I realized, like, I'm so grateful for that, because I got to experience life in a way that people oftentimes don't. I got to grow up running around the woods on horseback and I always think of horses as they're like just big dogs. They have all the personality, and they're playful and sweet, and they form emotional bonds just the same way. So yeah, that's why I love them.
So, okay, so horses, yay or nay?
Yay, yeah.
Or nay. Is that a dad joke? Is that what I just caught there?
It was.
So bad.
Anyway, that was the main event.
You have to stop horsing around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you also like rain.
I do like rain. You guys have to tell me, do you like playing and hiking in the rain?
I didn't until I moved out to LA. I'm from the Midwest, and now I miss the rain so much. So now when I find out that it's raining up in the mountains, which aren't too far from me, sometimes we'll actually drive up just to be in the rain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about you, Adam? Do you like adventuring in the rain?
Yes, I would say I do. I think rain, this is how you answer that. Like, if you're going about your normal day, or you're going into the office or whatever, you're driving in traffic, rain, certainly in this part of the country, and by the way, it has been raining all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it rains out things like bike rides, and golf. And so sometimes you can get frustrated with the rain, and it's not necessarily comfortable. But if you're in a different mindset and you really are hiking or taking in the adventure and the excursion, then there is something about it that if you're willing to hike in the rain, there's a mindset that goes with it, that you really are unbothered. What do they say? Like, you're unbothered. And so I think that there's kind of a beauty in that. But it doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be the most comfortable. It depends on the rain, the temperature, and things like that. But I think if you're in a state of mind where you're willing to face whatever the weather throws at you, that's the part I like, is knowing this is happening. I don't care whether it rains or it doesn't. This hike is happening. So
it really makes you be. Yeah, it really makes you be in the moment. I think when it's raining and you're hiking, it forces you. And I'm now going to use hiking in the rain as a metaphor from now on, just so you know. So be prepared. Yeah.
For me, growing up in the Pacific Northwest, it rains here. And so at the end of summer, I am always ready for the rain to come back. I miss it when it's gone. And I think I found a huge appreciation for it when the landscape changes when it rains, whether you're in the desert or a canyon or the forest or near the ocean, the landscape changes and there's new life that springs forth from it. And being able to play in it, it's so fun to me. And I just think the rain has this just cleansing, beautiful energy. And I don't know. I love adventuring in the rain. I think it's super fun. It feels playful to me.
Yeah. Play is a big theme that you have in your YouTube channels and your Instagram account, Wandering Jess. But I want to talk a little bit about how you came to be with this mindset. Speaking of that, is there anything that you were scared of? You talked about the Grand Canyon trip and being out there for 3 weeks, but what's a challenge that you had early on that started you on this path to having this type of mindset?
Well, I kind of touched on it. I grew up in a very tight-knit community. an organization that really made me feel limited in a lot of ways, especially as a woman. It taught me to grow up extremely submissive, and it honestly taught us that we are broken, and the only good we can offer the world or life is what we can offer to that organization. And so once I had the kids and I broke away from that, I just wanted to find my voice, and I just wanted to pursue happiness. And I think stepping outside of that organization I was brought up in, it just opened my eyes. It just opened my eyes to life, and that it's supposed to be good for us, and that we do have value. And I think when I realized that my life and my voice mattered, it made me want to pursue it so much. And it made me realize that life is supposed to be fun, and it should be play. It should not be all seriousness. And I think everybody deserves that. So it was really that raising, that really getting away from that really inspired and motivated me to grow as a person and to want to contribute.
This is what Zan does for me. She's the one that tells me to not be serious all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tells me to lighten up, for crying out loud.
For me, just to kind of add on to that, for me, when I had kids, that's when I found my sense of play. And I think, being able to experience it through their eyes and that sense of adventure, because when I grew up, very serious, very intense, like alpha, whatever. But then the kids, they find awe and joy in the littlest, tiniest things. And when you start to look at it through those eyes, it's like a whole new world. So,
yeah.
Jessica, let's talk now about your hashtag YouTube goals. Okay. Let's talk about what are your goals for YouTube? What have you got going already? And invite people to join the adventures on your YouTube channel. Okay.
Yeah. So my YouTube. Oh,
no, that's my fault. Do you want to run the intro first?
Yeah.
You want to run the intro? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's run the intro. All right. Hold on. Let's see here if I can do this. Very nice.
Love
and
that.
that is over on YouTube. And what are we looking for on YouTube to find you?
So it's Wander Time is the name of the channel. And so currently I am out sharing different hikes I'm doing and talking about and taking the kids on hikes. So I'm talking about hiking with kids a lot. My goal for the channel is to not only be connecting people with beautiful places and outfitters and experiences and bringing ideas, but I want to bring that sense of motivation and adventure and fun and play. And I want to connect people with ideas and inspiration and motivation. I want the channel to be something that's not just me giving info about trails and just I want it to be more meaningful than that. So that's why you saw in that intro, it says, "We believe in freedom," because I hadn't always felt that in my life. I hadn't always felt free. And so now I am uncompromising in sharing a sense of freedom. And I think that is more than just physically getting out and enjoying freedom. It's in our minds as well. So
define that. What is freedom?
Freedom is a feeling. It comes from inside of you. So it's not just physically getting out and experiencing the freedom of being outside. It's a freedom of your mind. It's a freedom to pursue your goals and dreams. It's a freedom to find your voice. And that's what it means to me. So.
I can't help but think about the way that you described some of the other things we talked about, being out for 3 weeks on the Grand Canyon, hiking in the rain. Some people may feel like they're trapped, right? I'm trapped out here for 3 weeks, or I'm stuck hiking in the rain. But to that point about the mindset, you embrace it. And I think that's kind of what I think you're saying about the freedom, is that's what gives you that freedom when you embrace it with that point of view.
Yeah. Yeah, I would totally agree
I'm
with
babbling.
Jessica, I'm going to make an observation, and you're going to tell me if you think this is correct. Okay.
that. Okay.
You strike me as a driven person. Is that right? Am I hitting the mark
I
here?
think so. Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad that comes across. I do feel driven.
Why? But so then the follow up to that is, where does this drive come from?
It comes from feeling stifled early on in life, feeling like my voice didn't count. And then I thought like a lot of time had been wasted when I finally woke up from that lie. And it made me super driven and motivated, because I'm like, no, I've already lost enough time having a low mindset about myself and not valuing the time I have here. So that was what motivated me, was this like sense of, if for some reason I only get this one life and this one shot, I better give it everything I got to make it a good one, and to contribute as much as I can to not only my children but to the world. Because I think when people come alive with their dreams and come alive within themselves and finding their voice, I think that makes the world a better place, even if you do nothing else but find who you are and your own sense of purpose and belonging.
So that kind of goes back, I think, to what Adam was asking earlier, and we talked a little bit about in the beginning, is you aren't just doing this for yourself. You're doing this to kind of make a difference, to help other people, and to kind of share that.
Yeah.
What is it that you want to do with your platform ultimately, Jessica? When you look ahead at your vision, what do you see?
What do I see? I just want to phrase it properly. I see it inspiring people to pursue adventure and pursue joy. And I want to be empowering people to do that. If something about my story and experiences and what has come into my life can offer somebody motivation or inspiration in any way, even if I can make a difference in one person's life, I think that that's valuable. And I think I would be doing a disservice to the world to hold it back, because I just have this sense of knowing that there had to have been a reason why we go through these struggles, and we grow from them. It can make a difference for somebody else who may have not had the opportunity to see beyond where they're at. I hope I'm phrasing that properly.
I think you're doing an exceptional job, and now I'm talking to the audience here. We told you this was going to be a good one, and this is lighthearted while also at the same time very deep and very meaningful. But I think that is who Jessica is, and as you look her up on Instagram at Wandering Jessica, and there is an underscore between Wandering and Jessica, and an underscore at the end. And of course, we've been putting that on the screen, so you get to look her up again at Wandering Jessica, or on YouTube, just search for Wander Time. So you've kind of already alluded to this here, this concept that we go through pain, and it's not that pain is a good thing, but good things can come from it if we cooperate with it. Two members of the audience who, in one way or another, right now, they're in some pain. What do you tell them about that pain right now?
Oh, that's such a good question. Because being in pain, it's hard to see past that pain. It's right in your face. But if we can take a breath and lean into it, that's where we grow as people. Pain, while I wouldn't wish it on anyone, we all have to deal with it. And I think it is, how long are you going to stick with it? How long are you going to wallow in it? Are you going to allow it to make you a victim, or are you going to choose it to be a challenge? Are we going to grow from it? I think it's when we get stuck in something, it's not reacting to, it's not experiencing, that shapes us. It's how long we decide to stick with it, and what we decide to do with it. So it ultimately comes down to a choice. Are we going to be a victim to our pain, or are we going to step up to the challenge of it? I think that's the best I can put it.
And just find joy and still go out and play and find the joy that still exists in the world, I think, as well.
Yeah, I would totally agree.
Because there's a lot of joy, something I've said is in my own life, I had to kind of come to grips with this. And there's freedom when you do, is that in life, there's going to be a lot of joy and there's going to be a lot of pain. I mean, those things, you're not going to get away from either one of those things, and you shouldn't really. I mean, you need to embrace. You said lean into that pain, embrace it, let it do its thing, let it purify you in the ways that it needs to purify you, and change you, and work with it in a positive way. But also joy. I mean, so many, you see people in life who pull away from joy. There's a sadness in them that the joy they seem to run from, and don't run from that. And I think that one of the things I like about this platform, Wander to the Edge, in pulling together all these great people like yourself, there's such joy. We get such joy in life from the simple things. How many times do you have somebody come on here and talk about something that's fundamentally simple, and yet there's so much joy that comes from it? Zan, for example, I know mountains. Seeing the mountains. I mean, that's a simple thing, but I know Zan pretty well. I know that that's just something that speaks to her, and we need to embrace those times. We've got to embrace the joy as well.
Well, and I think adventure is the perfect metaphor for it as well, because with all of our adventures, you have to embrace the pain in order to experience the joy. If you're going to climb a mountain, it's going to hurt your legs. There's going to be a level of pain to that, but the joy is in the reward, in reaching the summit. With the rafting trip, there was a lot of painful times. We had to deal with snow and cold and getting rained out and broken tools and desert burns. But the joy was in the adventure, was in the experiencing, was in getting through that. So if there's a balance in it, just life is a balancing act. And I say, don't avoid the pain, lean into it. And like you were saying, find the joy in it.
Yeah. Adam and I have talked quite a bit, both on the show and, just offline, about things that we've gone through. And I was kind of teasing before about Adam growing the beard, but literally, I think he's had experiences in his life that have changed how you think of yourself, Adam, and making the decision to change your appearance and embrace what you've been through in this new person that you've become. And so you started the Edge of Adventure, and how travel has helped to change that. And with me and Where Gals Wander, and the more that you travel and the more that you experience, the more that you truly understand who you are. And I think that that's the common denominator. And that's why we wanted to start this, is hearing people's stories, learning about who they are, learning about their travels, and having that just be one more thing that can connect us all.
Yeah.
Very well said, Zan. You should get a show.
I should.
And I think also Zan, who does so much of the work behind the scenes for this show, and oftentimes if you go to our social media, Instagram, Facebook, so on and so forth, you will see clips or segments of the show. And most of the time, that's Zan's hard work making those things happen. And you have your work cut out
I
for
know.
you from this episode, because there are so many great segments, and I'm sure you'll be
Yeah.
sharing those. And of course, people can watch for those in the days ahead. Jessica, seriously, you're a special person. I don't know the whole story, but you've clearly come through some things, and there's this love of life and freedom. That's the word you keep using, and it's inspiring. And it's easy to use that word and say that, but I mean, there is something that is inspiring about your platform. It's very genuine, and I just want to say, good job, congratulations, because
Yeah.
there's so much more that you convey than, like you said, you don't just want to say, hey, look, here's a hiking trail, right? You do so much more than that. And I have a feeling you're just getting started. And of course, people need to look you up on Instagram, look for Wandering Jessica, and then also on YouTube at Wander Time, and get to know
Thank you
Jessica
so
more.
much. That was so nice of you to say. I feel very humbled. And
Well, I think when you talk about wanting to inspire people, you've inspired both of us today. So
Yeah, it's
that means
true.
so much to me.
It's true. You got something special, and so whatever you've been through, and now I'm also back now speaking to the audience. Whatever you've been through, whatever you're going through, can be a part of the next phase of your life.
yeah.
So let it become that. And that means there may be some pain you have to go through and some things you have to accept. But the great adventure is life, and just these wonderful, wonderful days are yet ahead, despite what you've been through. So I don't know, just felt called to say that, had to get that out there. And just really appreciate your time today, Jessica. You're a special person.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel very humbled by it.
Well, this has been another episode of Wander to the Edge. And as Adam mentioned, don't forget to follow our platforms also on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're going to have lots of clips of our chat with Jessica. And in the upcoming weeks, we also have Real Girl Rear View, and we have Eat, Travel, Stay. So looking forward to those two.
Yeah, some great guests coming up, and it's truly an honor to get to do this. To everybody in the Travel Tribe, thanks for being who you are, and for just being a part of this thing we call Wander to the Edge.
Take us home, Adam. Yeah.
That kind of did sound like I should hit the outro.
Yeah, I
right?
know.
Okay, so let's try that again.
For joining us
Take
on
two.
Wander to the Edge.